We are Brooke and Gary. For the past 3 years, we have been sailing our 40-year-old sailboat One Life from Florida through the Caribbean, across the Panama Canal, and up to Mexico. We have been working hard to prepare our old boat for the biggest sail of our lives, crossing the Pacific Ocean. The repairs are almost complete, but there is one major upgrade that we need to be ready to sail across an ocean. We just did a vehicle swap because we have a couple packages waiting for us in Lukeville, Arizona, which is in about an hour away from us. So we're trying to make it there before the gas station closes because that's where we have to pick up our packages. All right, we've got everything in the car. Now we have to get back across the border before it closes at 8 p.m. We're late.
This is our brand new Whisker pole. With us planning to sail across the Pacific Ocean this year, we knew that we needed to make some pretty big upgrades to One Life because that is thousands of miles of downwind sailing.
Yeah, and if you've been following along on our journey, you know that we've been struggling a bit keeping our head sail open downwind. So
yeah, we've grown pretty tired of rolling back and forth and hearing our head sail just slam open and closed. So the solution to that is a downwind pole. And there's two types of downwind poles. There's spinnaker poles, which are used to fly your spinnaker, normally a symmetrical spinnaker. And then there's Whisker poles, like this guy. And we reached out to Forespar because they've been building
the industry
poles
leader, right?
for longer than we've been alive. And we worked with them to specify a Whisker pole for One Life. And what we ended up getting is a 13 to 24 foot telescoping Whisker pole. They're available in 3 different versions. You can get the whole Whisker pole as aluminum, you can get the whole Whisker pole as carbon fiber,
or you can get it as aluminum and carbon fiber, like we decided to go with.
And the advantage to this is that the outboard end, the end that telescopes out, is made of carbon fiber, which makes it a little bit lighter and a lot easier to handle and maneuver on deck.
Yeah, it's super light. Like, if it weren't so long, I feel like I could maneuver it on my own.
Tomorrow, we're gonna work on getting this bad boy installed because we've decided to store it up the mast vertically. That's probably the best way to go for shorthanded sailing because one end will always be attached to the mast, which will make it much easier for us to set and deploy.
Yeah, and also for safety reasons, we didn't want to clutter up our foredeck with the pole. So definitely happy we decided to put it up the mast.
I guess we need to talk about why we picked the size pole that we did. Our J dimension, which is the length from our mast to our head sail, is 18 feet. And you generally want to size a Whisker pole for 100% of the foot of the sail. The foot of the sail is the bottom edge, the horizontal bottom edge. Our 18 feet with 135% Genoa works out to around 24 feet. With this Whisker pole, which extends from 13 to 24 feet, we're hitting right at that 100% mark. The advantage to a telescoping pole is that it only needs to be 13 feet and we can telescope it all the way out to the length that we need it. If we were to try to fit a fixed 24-foot Whisker pole on this boat, we just would have nowhere to store it. And storing a 24-foot pole up the mast would also be a pretty big challenge. So while a fixed length pole makes sense in some cases, given that we're a cutter rig and our J dimension is so large,
It just doesn't make sense for us.
this telescoping pole is gonna be our best bet. The other great thing about these telescoping Whisker poles from Forespar is that they are controlled by a line. So actually from the mast, you can control the extension and retraction of the telescopic end.
Great, let's get this bad boy installed tomorrow.
Yeah, right now we're gonna get some sleep because tomorrow's gonna be a big day of getting this guy mounted and installed. So the first thing we're going to do to install our whisker pole is we have this section of T-track already mounted to our mast from a previous owner. And I'm going to go up the mast and inspect all of these screws and inspect the track and make sure it's all set and ready to go. And then we also need to measure at the top to see how much more track we need to add, because I think what's here is going to be a little short for the pole that we have.
We were unsure of the condition of the old T-track on the front of the mast, so we rigged up Gary in a bosun's chair and I began hoisting him up the mast. We always use 2 halyards for redundancy whenever going aloft. Little by little, Gary worked his way up the mast, checking the T-track and each screw as he moved up. Some of the old mounting screws were not fully seated and were seized in place, so Gary opted to grind down the heads with a Dremel. This would ensure that the pole mount toggle car doesn't get snagged as it slides up and down the track. How's it looking?
Almost there. I'm going to go all the way to the top and take this old block off for the control line. Hanging in a harness is definitely not the easiest or most comfortable way to work, but the real challenge is not to drop any parts or tools. I take my time and make sure each screw is safely put into a bag on my hip before moving on to the next one. All right, now we need to measure how much extra T-track we're going to need above where this one stops. So we know the length of the pole and we know where the bottom of the pole needs to end up. So I'm gonna send the tape measure down to Brooke and we're gonna figure that out. So right now, we're at 12 foot, 10 inches is where the top of this ends. So if we wanna make it 15 feet, we need to add 2 feet, 2 inches. All right, we've determined that we need to add 2.5 feet of extra track above this. And Brooke's gonna send me down. I also measured the distance from the top of this old track to this hole that's already tapped. And we'll cut the new section of T-track so that the first hole to bolt it on lines up exactly with that hole. So it's 7/16 of an inch above that. And then we'll have 2.5 feet of T-track going up. Put the end cap up on the top, and that should take care of our length adjustment.
Ready to add the T-track?
Yeah.
All right, let's go cut it. Must be right then.
More
Let's
or
hope
less.
for precision.
If it's wrong,
Then what do we do?
have to cut it again.
What do you say to me all the time? Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
Let's see how you did.
Well, I'm gonna measure again because I haven't really measured twice yet, have I?
So now we need 2.5 feet from there.
So I'm gonna go up the mast and install the new T-track. And the T-track is installed with these 5/16-18 screws. I need to bring a tap up with me because I need to tap the mast where these threads will go in. And I've also got F-size drill bits, which is the right drill bit for a 5/16-18 tap. All right, I'm back up the mast, and I have our additional section of T-track. We're gonna see if it fits. Oh, it looks really good.
Gary's just using a ratchet strap to hold the additional track in place until he's able to screw it up.
All right, well, 2 screws are in. And I need to go up a little bit. That's good for now. All my instinct tells me that drilling into the thing that I'm hanging from is a bad idea. Of course, a few small holes in the mast for the track are absolutely no problem and structurally insignificant. Our mast is made from aluminum, which is a rather soft metal and is easy to both drill and tap. The hardest part is getting positioned and staying in place while pushing against the drill.
I don't love the fact that Gary is drilling into the mast that he's hanging from on a rope. Don't drop any on my face.
I got the new section of T-track attached to the mast. I had to drill the holes without going in too far because there's wiring and rigging on the other side of this. And then I used a 5/16-18 tap the holes and put these flathead screws in. So now our whisker pole should be able to come all the way up to the top. I'll have to come back up to do some more rigging above it to mount the line that'll control it, but the sun's getting kind of low. So I think I'm gonna call it a day.
All right, we just put the pole up to see how it fits with our track. And it looks nice. So tomorrow we will finish it up.
All right, another day. I just went over to the cruiser's lounge and made a little Dyneema shackle that we need for the rigging of the whisker pole. And let's talk about how we're gonna rig up our whisker pole to go up and store on the mast. So this is our rigging setup for hoisting the whisker pole up the mast. The key part of this is this toggle fitting. The end of the whisker pole connects to this, and this car slides up and down on the T-track. We have that connected to a chock, which will help secure the pole when it's up the mast, and the chock will help the pole from rattling around. Those are going to be connected by an 18-inch section of Dyneema. We've just got a short one in here right now to show you the concept. And then there's a couple different ways that we can rig this up to actually move these cars up and down the track. But what we've decided to do is set up a 3-to-1 system.
The simplest way to rig this would be a 1-to-1 system, a pulley at either end and a loop of line to pull up or down. But add a pulley on each end of the sliding assembly and reroute the line, and you gain a 3-to-1 mechanical advantage.
So we'll have 2 turning blocks at either end, 2 strap eyes with the ends of the line secured to it at the top and bottom, and then we'll have blocks on the top and bottom of this moving traveler assembly. And what that allows us to do is pull on this line up or down, and for every 3 inches we move this line, this assembly will move up or down 1 inch. So that'll make it a lot easier. That also means that we have 1/3 of the weight of the pole that we need to pull on to get the pole to go up the mast, which will make it a lot easier to maneuver it up and down.
It was time for Gary's third and final trip up the mast to install the block and strap eye at the top.
Okay, I've got the block and the strap eye mounted in place, drilled and tapped with screws fastening them in. And now I'm going to apply some Lanacoat paste to the threads and reinstall them. This stuff is made by Forespar. It's environmentally friendly, and it will make sure that there's no corrosion between the stainless steel screws and the aluminum mast, which is pretty important should we ever need to take these off at any point. So I've got our end cap on the top of the track now, and I've pulled both of these off and coated the threads with Lanacoat. So now I need to get our line rigged up through these and tied to this strap eye. And then as I head down, I'm going to put Lanacoat on each one of these screws in the T-track going down.
Just in case you're wondering what my job is while Gary's up the mast. Anytime he needs something, such as a screw, I have to come down here and look through this mess to find it. So, I'm looking for a 1/4 inch screw or something like that. And he said it's somewhere here. I think maybe these are it. 1/4 20s. We'll see. Alright, so he needs the 1/4 20 tap as well. This one.
So now that the rigging is done at the top, we've got the lines temporarily set up down here. So same thing as up at the top, we need to put this block here, and then our strap eye will go here. For now though, we've got it just looped around here to mimic the block, and cleated off here to mimic the strap eye. And we've got our assembly put together. So we've got a block with the line going up, we've got our toggle pin on the car for the pole attachment. We've got an 18-inch pennant that I made from 5/16 Dyneema. It's probably way larger and way stronger than it needs to be, but overkill is okay. We've got our chalk that will follow the car up, and this will help secure the pole up at the top of the mast. And then the block below that. So as we pull this line now, we can send the whole assembly up to bring the car and the end of the pole up, and we can pull the line the other direction to bring it back down. So let's go ahead and put the pole on there and run it up and see how it works. Finished our Whisker pole install here at the bottom of the mast. What we've done is we've added a mast mounted chalk, and this will secure the telescoping carbon fiber end of the pole when the mast is vertical and keep it from rattling around at all. The bottom end will clip into the outboard end of the pole, will clip into this ring down here. And then we've added the cheek block and a strap eye down here to get our 3-to-1 line finished up. It's all routed. One last thing we'll need to do is just adjust the line to the right length that we want. And then we'll tie a bowline or splice this to the strap eye, and we'll be all done.
We hoisted the pole up the mast and snugly clipped it into its storage location. We were so stoked with how easy this installation went, and seeing the pole stored up the mast made us eager to get back on the water. With this huge upgrade to One Life, we were one step closer to our downwind ocean crossing dreams.